Elon Musk's vision for life on Mars is easily the most ambitious plan set out by any modern leader. 1 million people living and working happily on another planet within the next 50 years. A second home for the human race. It's a crazy idea to think about, and obviously Elon Musk isn't the first person to have this idea, but he is the only person so far with the money and the resources and the determination to actually get this thing done. We are in the very early days right now, but the seeds for life on Mars have already been sown. But what exactly are we going to do when we get there? And what will living on Mars really look like? Well, we've never done this before, so no one can really say for sure, but there are some really cool ideas out there, and it's all pretty fun to think about. So that's what we're doing today. Let's talk about life on Mars. The basic premise for getting people and stuff to Mars is actually pretty simple, and we say that only because Elon and SpaceX have already got that mostly figured out. We're using the SpaceX Starship as our mode of transportation between Earth and Mars. That's the same rocket that just completed a successful takeoff and landing test. The SN-15 prototype that we watched nail the landing is pretty close to what the final Starship product will actually be. It's just really a big stainless steel rocket ship that can take off from a planet, fly through space, and come back down again fully intact. Once every 2 years, when Earth and Mars reach their closest point in space, fleets of starships will make the 7-month journey between the two planets. The first crossing will be a few ships. Obviously, no one thinks that Mars is going to be a nice, comfortable place to live on day one, but just how rough is it going to be? Well, the average temperature is around negative 60 degrees Celsius, which is stupidly cold even by Canadian standards. Though in the peak of summer at the equator of the planet, Mars can reach a maximum temperature of around 20 degrees Celsius, which is pretty nice. But it doesn't mean you'll be kicking it on a lounge chair with a nice beverage every day. The atmosphere on Mars is pretty much non-existent, and what is there is mostly carbon dioxide. The volume of atmospheric gas on Mars is less than 1% of what we have on Earth, so there's really not much to work with, and in addition to there being nothing there to breathe, there is also nothing there to protect the surface of Mars from cosmic radiation. That's bad. You see, as much as the sun sustains our life here on Earth, that's only because our atmosphere is able to block out all of the bad radiation that would just kill us if we were exposed to it. Or it might turn us into superheroes, but somebody would have to be willing to find out. The gravity is also much lighter on Mars. Mars is much smaller than the Earth, so the gravity is only about 1/3 as strong there. That's actually a really good thing for us, because after 7 months of weightless spaceflight, the human body is going to be significantly weakened. So regaining strength on Mars will be easier than on Earth. Then there are these epic dust storms that can cover the entire planet in some cases. Dust is going to be a huge issue on Mars. All of our equipment is going to have to be thoroughly sealed against dust getting inside and ruining everything. Solar panels are going to be a pain to keep clean, so overall, the dust storms are going to be bad. Mars is definitely not going to be a safe place, and like Elon has said, people will probably die. Elon told an interviewer on CNN that he would only ever go to Mars personally if he knew that SpaceX would continue after his death. So even as the boss, Elon isn't super optimistic about his chances of survival. But is there anything we can do to make Mars a more hospitable place for human beings to live? Maybe, hopefully, there are a couple of theories about terraforming Mars. Elon has an idea in mind that is kind of insane, so let's talk about that. Nuke Mars, Elon tweeted in August 2019 in support of his idea for terraforming the red planet. We should just nuke it. I know that's an extreme solution, but there is some science behind it. Though opinions are split, the idea is that if you detonated a bunch of nuclear bombs on top of the polar regions of Mars, the heat produced could melt the frozen water and release vast amounts of stored carbon dioxide and water vapor into the Martian atmosphere. In theory, all of this newly released gas would increase the density of the atmosphere on Mars and possibly start a greenhouse effect that would begin to warm the planet. How do we actually live there? Best anyone can tell, we either live in domes, in dirt eggs, or underground. So we could all live under a series of domes on Mars. Just like in that Stephen King book, we could create miniature atmospheres within each dome village. That would allow us to just relax and walk around and do our thing without the need for spacesuits. Here's a real-life genius idea of how Martian buildings could be. 3D printed eggs made from dirt. Seriously, this is a real thing. This company called AI Space Factory has come up with an automated process that would 3D print an egg-shaped building using materials harvested on Mars. The idea is to use basalt in combination with bioplastic to create a durable building material. The basalt fibers would be extracted from Martian rock, and the polylactic acid binding material that would make both workable and solid would be extracted from plants that could be grown in greenhouses on Mars. The result would be a super strong, stable, and insulating shell that would be built by a 3D printing robot. NASA has already shown their support for AI Space Factory. They awarded the company a $500,000 prize in their 2015 competition to find the most promising Martian architecture. Now we know how much Elon Musk loves tunnels, so if he has his way, then we're sure to see some level of subterranean activity on Mars. This could be really useful as a transportation network for moving people and supplies around the colony, especially if we go with the egg city idea and not the giant dome transporting people and stuff underground would keep them sheltered from dust storms, and we could have a whole network of automated robot vehicles constantly moving under the surface as for people living underground permanently. It might sound good in theory, but realistically the idea of living underground on another planet for years on end, that's enough to make a person go insane, and it's probably not going to be sustainable from a mental health perspective. Powering a Martian colony is going to be a very tricky situation. And as recent research shows, the landscape of Mars is pretty treacherous. Astronauts will face surprise obstacles like dust collecting on solar panels, as well as tiny Mars rocks that have caused havoc with NASA's Curiosity mission. Musk has in mind to build a full-size city on the surface of Mars. This would be a city open to regular people, not just scientists and researchers. Musk estimated in 2019 that it would take around 1 million tons of cargo to build a self-sustaining city on Mars. Assuming it costs $100,000 per ton to send cargo to Mars with the upcoming Starship, that would put a Mars city's price at around $100 billion. At the high end, Musk estimates it could cost around $10 trillion. That is almost half of the GDP of the United States. Quite an expensive program it is. Over the years, he has listed reasons as to why humanity would want to expand into the universe. One theme he regularly lists is that a life-ending event on Earth could spell the end of humanity, but humanity could live on if it's able to set up base on a new planet like Mars. Will Elon Musk be able to terraform Mars? Probably not in his lifetime, but he does have some ideas. At SpaceX's headquarters next to the lobby, the company has two images that show a before and after of a terraformed Mars. The current surface temperature on Mars is an average of minus 63 degrees Celsius or minus 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Musk's idea is to heat up the planet's poles to release stores of frozen carbon dioxide. This would use a series of continuous low-fallout nuclear fusion explosions to act as artificial suns. Quite interesting. The idea would be to use the carbon dioxide stores to create a more hospitable atmosphere. Humans could then walk around the planet using just a breathing apparatus. That's the theory, at least. In practice, Bruce Jakosky and Christopher S. Edwards published a paper in the journal Nature Astronomy back in 2018 that drew that plan into question. It argued there is not enough CO2 remaining on Mars to provide significant greenhouse warming were the gas to be emplaced into the atmosphere. The paper found that vaporizing Mars's carbon-rich sedimentary rocks would release enough gas for around 12 millibars of atmospheric pressure. By comparison, Earth's atmosphere is around 1,000 millibars at sea level. Jakosky and Edwards publicly discussed with Musk as to whether there was enough carbon dioxide lurking beneath the surface. The three seem to agree, however, that the technology to terraform Mars is some ways away yet. One thing that's for certain is that Elon Musk and the work of SpaceX is making it an incredibly exciting time to be alive. So the question here is, if Musk is successful in his mission, will you be buying a ticket? Let us know about your theories for life on Mars in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe with all notifications enabled for more InWonder content.